Hello everybody, Dren608 here. This is another in the series for the Unconditional Surrender, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. We're using the BGA module, stands for Board Game Arena module. I am playing this solo. I am running into time on server issues. I have to save the game now after every broadcast because since I'm the only one playing, it does not recognize me as having completed a turn. Like when I get done with a complete month's turn, it still thinks I'm in turn. And after so long of a game sitting on one person's turn, BGA, to clear space of, to allow people that are actively playing to play, will delete your game. It just ends it and says, okay, you weren't playing for the last month. Well, it's like I've been playing, but my turn will never complete in that time frame because I'm playing all sides. So it's a little quirk of the thing. So it's just hopefully I don't forget to save and have to redo a turn in this stream. If you like what you're seeing, hit the thumbs up button. Lets me know that people are watching this and like it, so I can keep on making more. If you really like what you're seeing, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notification bell on your subscription, and you should be able to know when I'm going to schedule the next stream or upload another video. Mostly I have been doing Hex Encounter war games, mostly Unconditional Surrender, because that's my current passion at the moment. I have done some Starship Troopers. I have done a Civil War from Victory Games, a solo playthrough of that. I can't remember if I've done anything, any other Hex Encounter war game videos. I have to go back and check. If you want me to do a different game on these streams, you can go to my Board Game Geek profile, Dren608 there. My collection of games is public, so you should be able to browse in there, see what I have. If there's a game you'd like to see me bring to YouTube in a streaming format, probably solo, because it's hard to find proper time where we can sit down for 2 or 3 hours with somebody to stream it live. But maybe I could. Maybe you'd like to try and do that. I'm open to all of that. Right now in this game, we are. I am sort of exercising what I call the CUCU strategy, which is Cripple UK Collapse the USSR. I'm doing it in a solo format. This is actually the best response I've had from the West in this case. So it's a little different than what I'm normally used to having to deal with. So it's entertaining for me. I think we'll just go ahead and get into it. I am having trouble finding time to stream these. That's why it's sort of irregular. There may come a point here where I may not be able to stream for a little while because I won't have the timing windows to be able to get this together. So be forewarned, I am going to try and stream at least once a week. Obviously, it would be better if I could stream 2 or 3 times on this. But I don't have, unfortunately, I'm not doing this full time because I have to work. So, and I'm working in a retail setting, so my schedule changes from week to week on what days I work and what days I don't, and what hours I work on those days. So, the joys of working in retail. All right. Oh yeah, we were at declaring war, and everybody's like, well, 1 war at a time at this point. The Germans have 28 points. It is severe. I was looking over here. I don't... The Romanians are not drastically exposed. The Yugoslavs are somewhat exposed, but I think they'll be okay. I don't think I need to give them any points. The Turks... are actually doing very well for themselves, so they're basically going to be holding their ground. They don't need an extra point. That leaves the Finns and the Italians. We are in severe... we had taken this up here. I don't think I'm going to do... much more. Yeah, this is a game I don't have Sweden. So I don't think I'm going to do much more up there. The Russians may decide to come across and try and push me out of Viborg, but with me being in severe, it's unless it's a dire attack, there's really... I have to be able to retreat somebody in order to make it work, because that's usually the best you're going to get. So if somebody can't retreat when I attack, then they just get flipped, and in the case of the Russians, they have enough points to just flip them back, usually. So, and there's nobody sitting in that situation. The Russians have oozed up. They are threatening to cut off these 2 units here from supply, so I'm going to have to deal with that. And I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to deal with that. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to give some ground in order to make that work. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to give some ground. And even then, I may end up losing this infantry unit here, outside of Ryazan. I tried to do the defense between the cities, outside the cities and stuff, and it didn't quite work. I got a bad split. So, yep, I don't think I'm going to give anybody any points. We go to... so right now I'm only +1 to +3 versus the Soviets. I'm not going to waste my submarines on this because I'm only at... I'm at maximum factories right now. So it's not worth it for me to spend my subs here. If I lose a factory to the Soviets, then I'm going to probably use the subs against the West to try and ensure that I get it back. Because I have like a +4 against them. +4 to +2. So we're not going to go against the Soviets. We're just going to let go. Germany lost a factory. Russians did not. Okay, and if you go down here and we look at the factory loss marker, Russia's at 1. I'm here. British are at 9 lost factories. Okay, so now we go back up to the strategic warfare. Now, the West can throw in an ultra, and I can throw in a subs. I will definitely throw in my subs. The West is going to throw in ultra because they're trying to start working on getting the British factories back. And the ultra won't help them in this particular kind of weather down here. It's poor weather. They're not going to do any attacks and so on. So, yeah. So we both commit our stuff. And we both decreased our factories. Lost. So now, after that, and then the German submarines were delayed 2 turns, and the Ultra was delayed 1 turn. So he's going to have an extra turn of using his Ultra before I can. So I might actually lose 2 factories next turn if I lose 1 to the Soviets and 1 to the British. But right now, British are at 8 lost factories, and Russia and Germany are at 1, which is the minimum they can be at. So slowly but surely, the British are starting to try and chip this down. You like to, sometime in 1942, actually be less lost factories than you have owned factories, so that you can actually have a fair amount of production points. I mean, right now they're living on 10 production points. It'd be nice to get up to 16 or 18. But that takes turns to do. So maybe in the summer of 42, when I actually start getting an American unit and things, I'll be able to actually do something. Okay, strategic move for this axis. This is when I wasn't sure if I should. See, unfortunately, since you can't strategic move adjacent to enemy units, this is the reason why the Russians moved here, here, and here, is so that the Germans couldn't, like, rail somebody up to here, this junction. My mouse is circling. Or, you know, down into, you know, this rail line along here. Is like, this is not a very strong line, but in severe weather, it is, because the best the Germans can do is retreat you, and they only get to assault. And you actually get to use your airplanes, if you want, in your defense, because you're in poor in the Russian winter. So this was sort of a daring the Germans to try and attack me to push me back, and waste their production points doing so. If you remember last turn, I think it was, I went ahead and built the, let's see, get over here quickly. Yeah, see, in December, I went ahead and built my surprise attack marker, so I'll have it for next summer. So I didn't do a lot with the Germans, because there's not a lot to do with the Germans. In severe, once you're pretty much in your line, then you just have to wait to see where they push you. And wherever they push you, that's where you go and try and stop it. So they're threatening to do a breakout right in here, so I have to do something about that. And we will see what I can do. Looks like we might be defending with some Italians along the front here. Yeah, the German line is not in the best of positions here. Okay. Strategic moves. See, the West is in a better position down here in the Middle East than I am. Do I have anything anywhere I don't really need to have? 3, 4. To have that guy that can start doing invasions. But you're not going to invade this turn, right? Right, you can't invade this turn. What do I have in the... And I do have an infantry that I can build. Okay, so, knowing that I have an infantry that I can build, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this infantry here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the Africa army into Antwerp. Because it's severe, he can't invade this turn. So actually I don't even need to do that. Because with severe in the mild zone, he cannot mount an invasion, even if he has a surprise attack marker, which he does. So he can invade this turn, so I can take this guy off the coast. I have an infantry unit to build next turn, or at the end of this turn, so I can build it like in Metz. And then I can put the Africa army into Antwerp, and the guy in Metz will become sort of my reserve for the following turn. And then I can switch those guys around the following turn in March. So I will be okay. This guy needs to go over here to Soviet Union somewhere. I'm just trying to figure out the best place. I think I'm going to have to... Yeah, I think I'm going to back myself up a row a little bit here. So I'm going to put my strategic move here, because that's going to let me move this infantry unit up to here to block this breakthrough attempt, and maybe even push this guy out of Ryazan. I don't know. It's going to be hard to do. He can be a 2. I think the best I can be is a 3 and halved. Okay. Yep, that's where we'll go. The Soviets don't really have much of a strategic move to do. Since they don't move before the Germans, you don't want to like take this guy down here in Novorossiysk. You don't want to move him by rail, say to Granzi or something, because then the Germans would just run across and grab the city and use the Romanians to block Sevastopol from exiting for a turn. Because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He'd be right back on the crossing arrows, and then the Russians have to spend their turn retaking the city. And we're already down to 32. So we've retaken Ryazan, that gave us 2. And we retook Bulgaria here, so we got back a couple cities, but come fair weather, those cities will probably fall again. So the idea here is to try and get this infantry unit for the Russians. And the Germans are just trying to contain this. So this infantry unit's going to have to go here. Because I'm going to have to protect the crossroads to keep him in supply. So yeah, this is going to be a very, very tight issue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Things are not looking good for the German line here in the winter. Well, I'll put the Yugoslav behind the river to slow him down if he pushes me back. Yeah, okay. For the West, I could move this. I can't move anybody. I could move somebody in England, I suppose, if I wanted to save production points. But right now, I'm guarding any and all invasion points that he can do. And I don't really want to move this guy off of this convoy that I'm starting to rebuild, because I want to have the threat to either go into northern France, someplace like the Netherlands or Belgium, or even up here to Stavanger, Bergen, and Trondheim. So this is a bigger threat just by sitting here right now than moving him to the Middle East. It'll be a 2-turn move to get to the Middle East. Unfortunately, if I set this guy like in the Eastern North America box, he would not threaten the European coast or Norway, because it's not adjacent to those sea zones. It's only 1, 2, 7, and 16. It would threaten Brest, but and then like Spain, Portugal, and North Africa. So right now, I think it's a better threat where it's at, and I'm going to have to hope that the WDF can hold out. I might right before summer, like in a couple of turns, because it's going to be poor weather down there most likely. In a couple of turns, I might decide to go ahead and start moving the BEF over there so that I can have 2 real armies and an airplane to fight the Germans, and maybe start pushing up in Iraq. My biggest problem is production points. I'm at 10. Until I get some extra production points, it's very hard to justify moving things like that, because my army is very, I remember right. Yeah, see, he's at 4 sorties, 4 sorties. I've got the Americans down here to do the supplying of the actual ground unit, but this convoy can never get ahead of itself because it's got to, supply both units. But I have the ground unit being supplied by the American fleet simply because when the German aircraft comes down here, if it comes down here to start trying to pound on the fleet, I can move this aircraft into the same hex, and the Americans can supply 2. So they they can do it better because they don't cost the British production points, and then I can just keep my production points for doing the airplane and the convoy, and then I can do something else somewhere else, which is the idea. Okay, I don't have one for the best. Soviets are kind of stuck. Like I was telling you, it's really hard. Ah, what did I just do? Scrolling around here. I mean, they don't have a lot of people that aren't guarding something that can be railed around. You know, technically they could probably rail out of. No, they don't want to rail this guy out. You don't want to abandon that city. You don't want to abandon your border with Finland. So yeah, they don't really have a lot of things that can rail anywhere. So they don't have one either. So we're going to go into the Germans' operations phase. Now, like I talked about, best I can get is like a +2.5, which means best I'm going to get is a 4. All he has to do is add a tank or an airplane, and he won't be moved. I do not see a way for me to do anything about that this turn. So this is a bad situation. So what I need to do, I really need to get this crossroads here. So I'm going to put this infantry here. I'm going to call an assault because why not? Then I need to put this armored unit here. Call an assault there. And I have this guy do an assault here. Now, normally I wouldn't do this. I'm playing solo, so I'm going to actually act as if I have to make decisions with each attack. When you're doing this, don't set up all your assaults like this, because then it lets the Russian decide where he wants to spend his assets. Instead, you go, okay, I got a +1 to a +0. Are you going to throw your airplane, or are you going to throw your tank to make it a 1-1? Or are you going to let me have like a 6-1 split that'll actually move you? You know, kind of thing. Or 6-2 split. You know, whatever it may be. So, you know, normally when you're doing this, you do the assaults. I do the assaults one at a time to try and use up the Russian assets, and then do an assault somewhere else that's maybe more critical, like this city at Ryazan. So I would do any assaults that I'm going to try and launch, I would launch them in a different place. And that's what I'm looking at here. Is there a way for me to defend this line better? Unfortunately, I don't think there is. Alright, so we're going to have to do it this way. I don't like doing it this way. So, I probably would just call that there. So this guy has 5 sorties, so before I did anything, I would go and have him just go run him up. Yeah, he's only got 1 sortie to give, so I'm not gonna, you know, even with a fantastic result like that, it doesn't matter. But He's the only one I can hit. The ones in here, I can't touch because they're in the restricted USSR zone, so they're safe. I could go in at +2 to +1 halved, but I don't think I really want to try and take Bulgaria at this point. He could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -2, +3 to 0, so I don't want to give him that. So, yeah, I have a bit of a problem here. So you can push me out of Tula, or push this armored unit back. He's going to break through to the Don. So I want to make sure that he can't just like run around. I'm actually going to move this Yugoslav into this bend of the river. Not going to put him, or do I want to put him here? Let's see, right now I'm 1, 2, 3. He could become 4. And then 5 -1. So it'd be +4 and halved. But he could be +2. So the best I can get is a 5. And at +2, the worst he can get is a 3. So it's probably not worth it to waste the ground support there. I can't really get a good, decent attack on these things. Okay. I don't know why I'm bothering with this attack, because all I'll do is retreat him. Alright, this attack might make a difference. So he's, I'm a +1, he's a 0. 7 halved is a 4. If I'm a +1, then he needs to have a 6-1 split for it to work. So I'm going to go ahead and add the airplane. I'm going to try to save the tanks if I can, because they are a little bit more versatile. 6-1 split here. No, I didn't get it. Okay. Now this one down here, if I won that one, yeah, that might be worthwhile. So I would do this one to try and convince him to use up. And now he has to think about this, because he knows that Ryzan is probably where I really want to attack. So I think I would give the ground in the open terrain as the Russians and save that airplane for any attacks up here that are going to try and mess with me. So, yeah, it doesn't work. I think we do this just for form's sake. Got an attacker of attrition, so I'll be rebuilding that guy. And we'll attack from here. So I'm only a +2 and I'm halved. And now +2 and halved means that I can get a maximum of a 4. Okay. If he's only +1, then it takes me like a 5 or a 6. Yeah, 5 or a 6. Actually, a 3 + 2 would be halved, so 3. As long as he's +1, he's going to get a minimum of a 2. It's possible I could get a retreat out of this. Okay. So let's confirm this. All right, the Russians know that they might be giving up a retreat, but they really want to save their tanks for their half the turn. So they're going to let it go with just the airplane. We confirm. We commit. And I got a no effect. Okay. A 6-1 split there would have forced me to retreat. The infantry unit that's kind of trapped right now would have been able to go into Ryzan. I probably would take Ryzan back in my half of the turn. But, you know, it's probably going to be lost in the fair weather turn anyway, and I'm trying to make my breakthrough here in the poor weather. So that's kind of the whole point of this. Now the Germans have 21 points left, so before we do anything else, we start doing a count here. I've got 3 for this airplane, 3 for the convoy because he's up to 5 sorties, so I'm going to have to bring him down. That's 6. Okay, I don't have to do this airplane, so that's 6. And then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I've got 15 to do for sure. Okay. And then I have an infantry unit that I flipped in an attack, so that's 16. And I have an infantry unit I need to build, so that's 17. And then another airplane to build, so that's 20. So I really only have one more guy I can move. And, you know, the Russians may very well flip somebody because in poor weather that's a possibility. And I might need to bring them back up. So I'm actually not going to spend any more German points at this point. I am going to spend a couple of Turkish points. I'm going to move this guy on up to like, oh, I don't know, here to keep anything I'm not seeing Russian breakthrough kind of thing. I don't want him to get to my factory. This guy is going to be moving down here to kind of be the same way for the British. If I'm missing something and they somehow get a breakthrough in a fair weather turn in the future, I want to have this Turk at hand just to slow him down. Give me a chance to get somebody else back over here. So we're just gonna go, if it'll move. It doesn't want to move. There we go. All right. And now the German aircraft is far enough away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's like just below Mosul is where he can hurt me. So I think I'm just going to leave this German air here until I get it down. It's going to go down to 2 sorties here. It'll be at 0 sorties in February. And then in March, if you look... if you look here in March, we still only have a 1 in 6 chance for like the next 3 for February and March to get fair weather. But in April, there's a 1 in 2, so it becomes a 1/3 chance. And then in May, it becomes very likely. So I'm very likely I'm not going to be launching Barbarossa Phase 2 with all my German aircraft up there, because I don't expect to get a fair weather turn where I can actually beat up the British. But I do think I need to commit to keeping the British contained while I try to finish up Russia. I don't know if this is going to work. Okay, I really don't. So we're going to see if it works. So that's going to be the Turks. I moved 1 Yugoslav. I don't need to move a Romanian. Italians. Don't think I had a lot to do with them. Yeah, because I don't own Gibraltar, I have to respect the fact that he could bring a fleet and a transport here and possibly do a serious invasion away from my fleet somehow. And be able to supply himself, and then I'd have to deal with that. So that's why you see an infantry unit in Tripoli. Do not garrison Brindisi. Garrison Taranto, because Brindisi is isolated if you do that. I actually conquered Italy that way with a garrison unit because they had a garrison unit in Brindisi, and I landed at Trento and then attacked my adjacent hex, which was then isolated, so my -1 net for the garrison actually became a +1, and then I had the fleet, so it was like +2 or 3 to his -2, and it's like, yep, I got my retreat, he was eliminated, I took the city, and then I moved another real army farther away that couldn't invade, moved in and landed at Taranto, and so I had the heel of Italy, and it was enough at that point in time. The 2 points was enough for me to conquer, and Italy just went off the board. And I had a supply source there, and the Germans had to scramble to run over and defend against me just running up the boot, which they did. I mean, they threw a couple units there, and I just said, okay, well, that's fine. I did my job. I got them out of the war, got their fleets out of the med, and so on. Made my mobility a lot easier. So yeah, I don't think the Italians really have anything to do. They're pretty much. Oh, yes, they do. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they're gonna go here. Oops. For right now, they're going to move. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, not you first. Well, we don't have a lot to. Alright, I'm going to do a little Italian shuffle here. This guy's going to go to Naples. Why do I need to be in Naples? Why did I... There's a reason why I don't need to be there, because he can't invade across straits, and it's 1, 2 to here. So I don't actually have to do any moves with the attack. What I was thinking of, that where I moved that infantry unit down here to Naples, is very important that you have somebody sitting in Naples, or this mountain hex outside of Naples. Doesn't matter, be either one. The reason being, the Allies invade. If they invade a hex adjacent to Naples, and you don't have a unit there, or in this hex, or in this hex, you need to have units in these hexes when the threat comes. They can land there and move into Rome, sort of the Anzio situation. If all you need is 4 points to take out the Italians, will point wise, and that's available, you take it, knock them out. Yeah, your guy might be in low supply to start with, but at that point you don't care. You just took out a major Axis minor ally. It's worth losing the guy to low supply if you have to. Okay? It's just worth it. So that's something you have to watch out for the Italians, is this whole little thing here, because you can invade, and if you're not in an enemy zone of control, you get to move 1 space. No movement point limit. So you can just go, boom, take an enemy city out. Yeah, I don't see any... Oh, is there something I was going to do with the Finns? No, because I have to move a German to make that work. Well, I think I was going to... I was going to move this garrison up here. It's been my experience that the Russians, if they threaten to take out Finland, it's usually via the northern route. And what at this time, since I have a German unit here to help to hold the south, this is one of the best defensive positions in the game. Behind a river and in the woods, so it's -2 to come after you. If I had a fort, I'd put it there, but I'm not allowed to have a fort there. So even if he manages to get a retreat on me, I go behind this one, and he's still suffering the same -2. And he can't just run south until the following turn, which gives me a turn to do something. I've got a German and a Finn, full Finn down here to defend the road to Helsinki. But all I have is a garrison defending the northern road, and it's 2 here and 2 here. Ulo and Petsamo. That's 4, that conquers Finland. So my thought was, once I have the German here, and so I basically have 3 0-factor guys defending the center and the south. This guy's sitting up here. If the Russians get a push and a push on these 2 hexes, and you don't push me there, they don't have a road then just to run up to Petsamo. They actually have to fight their way up Petsamo and fight their way to Ula. So it's not much, you know, but until I see full commitment, I think that takes away the pot shots, you know, where the Russians just attack at -1 to -2 and see what happens, kind of thing. Which, you know, as a Russian, you probably should do that if you have the points. This early in the war, they don't really have the points. Sometime in 42, they probably will. Okay, so I think I'm done with the Germans. Yep, I think I'm done with the Germans. Okay, so I'm going to pass here. Pass and check my supply, make sure I don't. See what my supply says, make sure I don't have anybody that's out of supply, because if I do, then I'm going to have to spend a point to put them in supply. So I don't see anybody that has absolutely no choice of supply here, because they wouldn't have something here. In the left-hand column, like this guy, even though he can only be limited supplied, it's still right there. It's like, okay, here's your supply situation. If you ever see a counter that has absolutely nothing there, it's just completely blank, then you might have a supply problem. Okay, so we're going to supply all without the convoys, because I have to play shenanigans with the convoys here. Supplying one too many units in the Middle East, I think. Okay. Yes. Yeah, this guy stays. Yeah, so I'm 2 and 2. He cannot supply all that, so these 2 guys have to go to limited supply. It is, fortunately, it is poor, severe weather up there, so I don't have to worry about an invasion. So all I need to do is keep the airplane intact. The airplane's more intact to allow me, if I really need to fly it somewhere. I can get it to the east in 3 sorties if I rail like a depleted airplane back into the west type thing. And I'm going to build I'm going to build another aircraft. So Russians will have 4, and I'll have 3 plus the Italians. So we're going to have to hope that that's enough. All right, let's do a supply all. And then we'll go do the boring British, which will be like nothing. Sorry, the British are not going to do a lot. I mean, once again, it's poor weather, so I could like move this guy up and attack, you know, out to try and push the Italians back. But I'm not sure that that's going to work because it's poor weather. So I'm minus, well, if I make him the primary, I'd be -1 for himself, -1 for the weather. So he'd be -2. I could add a tank for +1. I could add an airplane for +1. That put me at 0 to 0. Then I could add this guy with a tank marker on him, so I'd be at +2 to 0. And then he can throw in a tank, so it'd be +2 to +1. Maybe I get a retreat. It's not very good odds. Okay? And it cost me 3 production points to do that, plus replenishment of the airplane. Only 10 production points. And we're in January, so it's not until May that I'll see 12. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to preserve my 10 points. I'm going to do the airplane and the convoy down in the Med, in the Middle East. So that's 6. And then maybe get the Med fleet down so that I have both these fleets at full. Or maybe I'll just do this convoy here. Maybe that's better. Huh? Yeah, maybe that's better. Bring this convoy down so that I'm threatening to actually do some real movement. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm gonna build this airplane in England so that I have more versatility, because then if I invade like in Norway, then I can possibly move the airplane in to help. Yeah, we're gonna build that aircraft. So nope, we're not gonna do anything with the British. We're just gonna pass. Pass. Not gonna eliminate anything at this point. Let's do this. I think I have to do the Force H thing. Nope. That's right, he doesn't have it. Germans don't have their surface action marker for a turn, too. Alright, so this guy's going to go out through the convoy. This guy's going to go out through the convoy. Alright, okay, so that looks like it's supplied just the way it needs to be for now. Now once I get that British airplane to 0, I'm going to move it probably into Basra so the Americans can do the supplying in the future. So now we go over to the Soviets. Soviets did save their armor. They used up their airplanes, but they did save their armor. But they only have 20 points. And if they want to bring back their airplanes, that's 369 to bring back their airplanes. Right? And they have an airplane to build, so that's 12. So that means only like 8 points worth of movement. They do have 1, 2, 3 infantry they can build in an airplane, so that would be 6, and 9 is 15. So you can see where the problem is, like, yeah, the Russians should be doing things, but they kind of don't have the ability. Just trying to think of where's the most important place to try and push through. Part of me says that I should do this, although it's risky. It would be 2, 3. So I could be +3 to +2, and then +1 to 0, if it worked. I was looking at trying to see a way, if there was a way I could get this German armor. It's not the greatest odds. First attack would be +3 to +2 halved. And if I get a retreat, then I can take like this infantry unit here and go 1, 2, 3, 4 and attack at +1 to 0. The 0 is halved. And if I eliminate him that way, then this guy becomes isolated and no way of getting him back in supply. And I'm threatening again to break through this hole right here. Wow. So should we try it? Could make a dent in the German line and maybe make them run all the way behind the Don. Yeah, I think we're going to try it. Probably not going to work, but we're going to try it, just for dramatic sake. So I can move there because it's a different zone of control. And I'm going to go ahead and attack here. Then I'm going to go in here. I'm going to attack here. Now, right now I am +1 to +2. -1 for the weather. So now I'm 0 to +2. And if I add a couple tanks, I end up at +3 to +2 halved. So we will have this guy be the primary, since he's standing in the city. We're going to add 2 tanks, so I get up to +2 to +2, but he's halved. So I have a really good chance. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a 1 in 6 chance that I won't get a retreat, which is all I want. So the Germans could throw in an airplane, but you'll see that doesn't actually change his die roll modifier. So there's no point. You only do that to try and inflict sorties on a Russian aircraft that's trying to support so that it can't support more in the future. All right, there we go. And he got his DR. So we're going to be able to possibly pull this off. So now we're going to take this infantry unit. He's going to move into here. And he's going to attack the armored unit. And then we're going to throw in our last tank. So if see it's 0 to -2. Halved. So the difference is by being at 0, you can see how huge the difference is on what the results are. So, you know, only having I have a +2, but because it's a -2, that means I'm basically 4 and below, so I'm basically like 2s, right? Is that right? 4, 2? So the best I'm going to get is 2s. So if you look at the combat results table, basically he needs to get a 4, 5, or 6 to get me. So it's basically like a 50, he has a 50% chance, I think. I think that's how the odds work out. So there's a good chance that this German armored unit will die. And it's not a big deal for the Germans to rebuild next turn, but then this infantry unit up here, it's still going to be the Russian winner, and he's going to be isolated, so he's going to actually be eliminated as well. And then the German army basically is going to have to withdraw here to try and have a decent defensive line. Okay. So we're going to confirm. And then we commit. And he got his defender retreated. So Germany lost a will point, and he took that hex. And he's being supplied through Rozan, blah, blah, blah. Now I could go ahead and try and reduce this guy. The idea being, let's make the Germans right now are like on a perfect spending curve. But the thing is I would be +2, +3, -1. +2 to +2, not a very high probability, and I'm down to 17 at this point. So what did we say? 9 and 6? Is that what it was we had on the board here? Yeah, there's 6 to build, and there's 9 in aircraft, so that's like 15. So I only actually have like 2 more guys to move around. And I'm just trying to think of if there's a better... I'm thinking this is a better attack, because he's +1, +2. I might forego an airplane here. Now that I look at this, I can actually mess him up. Yes, I can mess up the Germans here, so I'm going to show you how that's done. We're not actually going to try and attack this guy. We're going to do something else. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here. We're not going to... So we're going to go ahead and do this. Start off here. So I'm +2 to his 0, halved. Okay? High probability of DR, very... not the highest to get a DD. I need a 6 or a 5. 4 might do it, but, you know, not a high probability of getting a DD. Higher than normal, but don't ever depend on getting those. Let's see if I get one. And instead, I rolled a 1, so I got a no effect, and the Germans rolled a 6. So that didn't work. The idea there was if I could have pushed him, if I could have pushed this guy back here, then I could take this infantry and go here, this infantry and go here. This infantry would run around and go here. This infantry comes out of Moscow and does this. I'm still going to do that because what it does is it cuts off German retreat routes, which is the whole point of this. You're trying to keep the German army in a situation where it can't really hurt you, and then you may be able to take it out with one more poor weather turn. So we're going to go ahead and not build everything up. Maybe not the airplane in the north or something. I don't think there's any reason to do an assault here. No, we're actually not going to do an assault. We're just going to do some shenanigan moves here, is what I call them. So this guy's going to go into here. Runs all the way around. Come on. There we go. And then we will build one infantry back in Moscow. He will leave the fort so that he can come out to... Let's see if I move to here. I'm trying to think of where I want to move. Because I have to, being out of supplies, say, well, what the heck, just run as far north as I can before I die. Which I don't want him to do. So I'm thinking maybe, do I move back to that same point? Or is this good enough? This might be good enough. Actually, I think I'm going to move him if the undo works. Actually, I think I am going to put him back where he was before. Just going to put him right here. Because that allows me to possibly move in another infantry unit to here and still be able to attack. So I might be able to attack this guy twice and get him next turn. I'm not going to attack this turn. Alright, so now I'm down to 12. I do want to get another airplane on the board. So that's 3. And I want to do this airplane here. So that's 6. This guy is 9, and I have 3 infantry to build, which is 12. So I'm not going to build all 3 infantry. I'm just going to build 2 of them. One in Moscow and probably one in Stalingrad. Because I do need to put this infantry unit here. Okay, so what does that do for me as the Russians? I probably should have done that. I should have moved him down here and had the extra +1 on that. Oh well, dum-dum. Attacked with these 2 guys. If I'd have moved him there, I would have had 3 attack there. I probably would have pushed him out. Oh well. Not paying attention. Okay, so what does this do for the Russians? If you look at where he's got his zone of controls, he's zone of controlling this space back here, this space back here, this space back here, this infantry unit here. The 9th can't really retreat. This guy definitely, he's surrounded, okay? So, and this guy's got to stay here to keep this guy in supply. So this infantry unit's kind of locked in place. So I'm running out of German units to defend with, okay? Which is the idea here. If you can push him far enough, I have a chance here to possibly do some kind of a breakthrough. Which means the Germans are going to have to pull back and defend somehow, some other way. Okay? I was probably too far advanced. I probably should have just pulled back to being along the Don and being in a straighter line than what I did. I got a little greedy with the Germans, so I'm giving the Russians some breathing room here in the Russian winter to do some serious damage to the German army. Okay. So I have 11 left. I've pretty much have my line the way I want it. For now. I really don't want to change anything in the north. This guy is trapped, kind of like this infantry is going to be trapped for the Germans. This guy's kind of trapped too. But because it's severe weather for the Axis, it's harder for them to get 2 retreats than it is for me to get 2 retreats in poor weather. So, yeah, this is going to be a rather interesting February turn for the Germans. All right, I think I'm going to just say done with the Russians. I like where everything is. I don't want to spend any more points because I really do need to get like 2 aircraft and build another one. And then I think I'm going to build an infantry in Moscow and then probably an infantry down by Stalingrad or Saratov. I'm not sure where. All right, the Russians are just going to pass. They're saying, we're done. We're going to check and make sure nobody's out of supply. Confirm. So again, we just scroll along, make sure we don't see anybody that's not there. We go there. And okay, we're to improvement. So the Italians are simple, right? They've got 12, they're going to spend 9. We don't need to even think hard on them. And we talked about the Germans were on their 21 spree. They have to flip over this infantry unit because, hey, you'll die. I have to flip this over because otherwise somebody up there is going to die out of supply. And then I have 17 left and 12. How did I do that? I messed up somewhere. Oh, I was thinking that the armored unit would be flipped or something and not killed. Okay, so yeah, we want to get all of the airplanes. Fifth Luft, fourth Luft, and the third Luft. So I'm getting my airplanes prepared for when I get into March and I have poor weather and I can actually start using them again. Problem is I'm not sure where my line's going to be when that happens. So I'm going to confirm that. The west is easy. That one goes down. This is the first RAF, so you have to do him. And then you got to do him. Those are the 6 you got to do. And then I was looking at, I thought about, oh, I can do like Red Fleet and get it down 0, or I can bring down some more convoys. But then I thought about it, and it's like, I'd really rather get another airplane into England. So then going forward, I can just, take turns replenishing whoever. There's no credible threat of invasion from the Germans at this point. Into England, I have it fairly well defended, especially with the BEF there as a reserve. So I'm not too worried up there. I'm going to move the British aircraft into Basra next turn. So then the Americans will, supply both of them. And this convoy down here will be there for the garrison army that's sitting there. Okay. So I'm going to save my 4 points so I can build an airplane with the British. Now the Soviets want to save 5, so that's 2 airplanes. So I think I want to get this airplane for sure. All right, and probably this airplane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So I'm not going to be attacking in the north through the woods. I did what I wanted in the north. I took back the city there. I have a semi-coherent line up here. And I'm going to save my 5 points to be able to build stuff. So we're done there. The Germans, they have 5 left. They're going to go ahead and build the 6th Luft into Königsberg. Because there could be a possibility of an invasion next turn, I do have to build this guy over here. Alright. Because believe me, it would be worth the British to just land in Antwerp, advance into Lille, you know, just having this sit here and having me to split my points, split my production points to have to come over here and deal with this is not fun. They still can do it on one of these garrison type units, but if they're out here in France, a couple of moves and they're contained and they're not going to go anywhere. So yeah, I mean, it's something you can do with the British. If you get a poor weather against somebody that's in a city, means you're -3. 1 for the weather, 1 for the city, and 1 for the guy in an amphibious invasion. And you only get +1 for your Navy, and +1 for your Air Force, and +1 for an armored unit. So at best, you'd be +1 to like a German +2. Or if it's one of their garrisons, a +1 because they throw their tank on it. So +1 to +1, yeah, maybe it's not a really good odds attack. And it costs 20 production points to do it because you have to use a surprise attack marker, and the British can't rebuild theirs. So unless it's dire or it's just too good to pass up, you don't do that. You save that because the threat, by having it in pocket, the Germans have to garrison all this crap, which is the idea. So the British are going to go ahead and build this airplane. Should I build it in Plymouth? Or should I build it up here in the north until it's full? I think I'm going to build it up here. Just so that it's out of any kind of shenanigan range of the German Air Force. More of my reserve here. So they're done, and then the Soviets. Well, first thing they're going to do is they're going to build an infantry into Moscow. So that's taken care of. Where should I build the other airplane? To the south? Or should I build it in Ryazan? Or even in Moscow? Well, if I build it in one of these places, they're definitely going to try to bomb me. So maybe I'll build it in Saratov? Move it up for one attack? Or do I want to have the Germans... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I'll do. I'm going to actually build this. You don't see Russians do this very often. I do. Because he's safe there from being counter-aired. And then if you count from the edge of the board, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can fly in here and get one sortie off. If I have like a really important attack to like kill some of these German units. So I can actually just fly in here and then help attack this thing, and I'm still in the restricted zone, so I'm safe. But I see way too many Russians. They'll build this. They'll put it in Moscow or in Ryazan or in Kalinin or even Leningrad. And it's like, there's Axis air forces here that in severe weather, they have nothing better to do than to run your sorties up. So that's why they're doing that. The reason why I do this here is to make sure that this German aircraft keeps doing this, so that he's not at full when he can start using them. That's the idea. I don't want him to have 6 sorties. I want him to only have 4. So that's why I'm spending the points here. Plus, it also means that he's not going to do anything with the Turks until he takes care of that aircraft. that's the idea. Now, I have one more guy I can build, and I'm torn between putting him in Stalingrad. I don't think I really need another one in the north this turn. I think I need more in the south for possible breakthroughs. So we're going to put the 50th in Stalingrad. And that's all my points. So I'm done. And we're done. Now we're into the next turn. So we're into February, so it's the last month of lucky weather. We got severe, of course, in the warm zone. So the storms are blowing in Iraq. We have poor in the. So see, it's a good thing I built that infantry over there, because now I'm going to have to like rail the Africa army probably into Antwerp, so I don't spend production points on it. And then I'm going to have to redress the line here for the Germans. This is a bad situation for the Germans. I stretched myself too far for the Germans. Defended too early with the Russians. Now I stretched myself too far for the Germans, and now I have to try and salvage what I can out of this. I'm going to have to pull the line back a bit. I basically have to survive one more turn, and it looks like I may lose two. I'm probably definitely going to lose this infantry unit up here that's isolated, because he'll go to low supply. Or limited, yeah, he'll be a low supply guy. And I may lose this one at the junction, because I just don't have the pushing power to do anything about it and prevent this, pushing away the Yugoslavs and breaking through to grab a city, or surrounding Tula or something. So I have to do something about all of this. So a nice little breakthrough for the Russians. If I'd have been paying attention, I probably would have pushed this guy back a hex, and then they would have two places that they have to worry about. But I didn't do it right. So making mistakes along the way. That's one of the things about this game. You will make mistakes as you go. Learn from them, and don't make them the next time around. Don't forget to do things. The most important thing on this whole front is, don't let your entire army get wackerdoodled, which is what I'm in danger of having happen to me here. I may have to just sacrifice these two units and just draw a line this way for a turn, which is not ideal, to say the least. To have to lose two units to preserve yourself, because I already lost an armored unit. I'm going to have to rebuild him. To lose two more infantry to rebuild in the end of March, and they won't get to the front till like April or May, so I could end up losing a whole turn of being actually able to do something to the Russians. And they start getting their armor in June, so the Russians may actually hold here, which would be a first for me in this situation. Usually they don't hold, but right now I made a pretty big mistake with the Germans, and I think they're going to be able to do something. Okay, that's enough of me talking. We're going to end this here. I have, like I said, I have a really screwy schedule, so I'm just trying to put in a stream whenever I can. All right, and yeah, I think that's it, guys. We'll start up with February the next time. I'm not sure when that will be. I will look at my calendar and see what I can do. All right, so until we meet again. Oh, I guess I'm supposed to do the commercial again, aren't I? Anyway, I'm done 608. If you like what you see here, go ahead and hit the like button. Helps the algorithms YouTube when people are searching for videos on unconditional surrender. And it also motivates me to keep making these videos. When I see like buttons, that means people are watching it and they like it, so they want to see more. If you really like what you're seeing, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notify button when you do that, and that will let you know when I'm going to upload another video or schedule another stream. I am also doing another genre of stream. I am doing a computer role-playing game called The Bard's Tale. I played it way back when it first came out in the late 80s, early 90s. Back then, we did not have really nice interfaces like we do now. They've remastered it so that you have a point-and-click interface, so you can not have to memorize all the keys on what letter does what and what four-letter combo is what spell. So it's a little bit easier to navigate through, and I am doing that again, also trying to do it once a week around my crazy schedule. So you can go ahead and check that out if you'd like. Yeah, I think that's it. So until we meet again, stay safe. Bye-bye.